Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumlimli. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Tonight, the government of Ghana secures significant win in a London arbitration case brought by Power Distribution Services PDS over the termination of a concession agreement with the Electricity Company of Ghana. I'll bring you details shortly. Also tonight, opposition New Patriotic Party hits hard at President Mahama, accusing him and his administration of state-sponsored witch hunt and using the courts and security agencies as political weapons for revenge politics. Also tonight, some Chinese nationals locked themselves up in a warehouse at Anria in Kwanta in the Ashanti region to resist inspection by officers from the Environmental Protection Agency following the shutdown of 19 warehouses in the region for stocking banned shanfine machines. NDC and MPP trade blames over which party fueled illegal mining the most. We'll give you details of that and what transpired in Parliament. Also at 8 p.m, we'll bring you Prime
Business community.
We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. In our first story, the government of Ghana has won the international arbitration case brought by Power Distribution Services Ghana Limited, PDS, over the termination of its concession to manage the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG. The ruling by the London-based tribunal marks a decisive victory for Ghana in one of the country's most protracted energy sector disputes. The tribunal dismissed PDS's claims, valued at approximately $39 million, and upheld Ghana's decision to terminate the contract as well as the concession. It found that the government acted within its contractual rights when it ended the agreement in October 2019, following concerns over the validity of the payment guarantees submitted by PDS as a condition precedent to the takeover of ECG operations. Well, PDS has in the last few minutes issued a statement, and my colleague Kofi Eji joins me in the studio just to give us a background to this and why exactly this is trending. Kofi, how did we even get here in the first place?
Fresh details that we are getting from that ruling is that PDS has actually acknowledged the ruling, and they say that they respect the integrity of the arbitration process. And according to PDS, they have instructed their lawyers to study the detailed decision to advise on the next step that PDS will take as far as this issue is concerned. They go ahead to say that, in fact, they insist that that despite the outcome of the arbitration, they remain, proud of their contribution to Ghana's power sector. And they go ahead to say that they commend the government of Ghana and ECG for their continued efforts to strengthen the energy sector. Now, it is good to also give some sort of background to this whole PDS issue. How did we even get here, like you asked? And in fact, what we are learning in terms of the data we are gathering is that PDS began operations on March 1st, 2019 under a 20-year concession to manage ECG. And the privatization of ECG, has always been in contention anytime there's a new government. And this time around, President Mahama, remember, is looking at privatization of the last bit of distribution under ECG. That has not, been finalized, but we understand that steps are being made. That was the same agreement we went with PDS, but this time around, it was the entire management of ECG as far as power distribution is concerned. And remember that there was, suspended after 4 months, and terminated October 21st, 2019 over alleged breaches. So as a result of alleged breaches, within a span of 4 months, a contract that was supposed to last for about 20 years, it had to be, cancelled, and that resulted in the arbitration that the ruling we are seeing today. Government cited invalid demand guarantees purportedly from Akut insurance, which was in in Qatar. And according to what we are learning also in terms of the background, Akut disowned guarantees leading to the termination of the concession. And PDS claimed wrongful termination, seeking, and this was the arbitration, $39.4 million in cost and 351.5 million in lost profit as a result of the termination. And they went ahead to that, U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation, which currently we are not entitled to that anymore. Cote d'Ivoire has been able to get that, withdrew that $190 million in fund after the dispute. So these are the numbers involved, what PDS was looking for in that arbitration, which of course they didn't get as a result of the ruling. But as it stands now, we've lost the Millennium Compact Challenge simply because of that contract that was cancelled. So this as a result of the background we have as far as the PDS issue is concerned, and also the latest we are getting from the arbitration of the ruling.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Well, the opposition New Patriotic Party is accusing the Mahama administration of orchestrating what it calls a state-sponsored witch hunt, targeting its members and former government officials. The party says that government has turned the country's security and judicial systems into tools of political vengeance used to harass, intimidate, and silence dissenting voices. The following report has more.
The NPP's General Secretary Justin Kudria says what began as isolated acts of political intimidation has now evolved into a calculated campaign of persecution with arrests, selected prosecutions and prolonged detentions designed to cripple the opposition. He warns that, despite countless protests and press briefings, the Mahama administration has refused to pull back, leaving Ghana's democracy on what the party calls, quote, life support, unquote.
The party held demonstration and numerous press conferences on matter, reminding President John Mahama and his government that we are a nation of rule of law, and asked the NDC government to put a stop on their continuous weaponization of the state security and the judiciary against political opponents. Unfortunately, all our calls have fallen on deaf ears, but as a party, we shall not back down on our resolve to fight this injustice.
The NPP is further warning that the rule of law itself is under siege. The party says its members continue to be detained beyond lawful limits, slapped with excessive bail conditions, and treated as criminals before trial. Justin Kudria argues that this blatant disregard for the constitution and due process has weaponized the justice system against political opponents, eroding the very freedoms that anchor the republic.
The worrying trend where members of the New Patriotic Party are detained beyond the lawful limit, subjected to unreasonable bail conditions, and effectively denied justice. This practice contravenes Section 96 of the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act 1960. However, under President John Mahama's administration, a person is rather presumed guilty until the person proves his innocence. And this is a shame to our democracy.
He insists that, under President Mahama, justice no longer means fairness, it means fear. And in this new order, freedom has become conditional.
Away from politics, former GRA Commissioner General Reverend Amishadai Owusu-Amwa has been banned from holding any public office for 5 years. This follows a Shiraj investigative report that found him responsible for procurement breaches and corruption-related offences, which cost the state a financial loss of almost 9 million cedis. The Commission's report, based on a 2022 petition by pressure group Movement for Truth and Accountability, revealed that the former GRA boss supervised the award of questionable contracts to 3 companies: Renault Motors Ghana Limited, Telenor Ghana Limited, and Sajel Motors and Trading Company Limited for the supply of vehicles and logistics to the authority. Coming up on your screens now are excerpts of that report. Just so you know, that report is on myjoyonline.com. It's an extensive, comprehensive 157-page document by Siraj. And this is the summary of the key findings they have put together in this investigative report that took them over 3 years to put together. Now, some of the key findings. 1, GRA awarded contracts for vehicles and logistics, just like I told you, to Renault Motors, Sajel Motors, and Telenor Ghana in October 2021. One of their findings is that the contracts were given through single-source procurement, not restrictive tendering as claimed. They go on to state that the GRA misled the Public Procurement Authority to approve the deal under questionable circumstances. And all that details they have put together in that report, which you can find on myjoyonline.com. They go on to state that the contract violated sections of the Public Procurement Act, Act 663. Then they say that the companies failed to deliver due to lack of capacity and not COVID-19 disruptions. Telenor and Sajel Motors fraudulently subcontracted the same vehicles to Renault Motors, according to the investigative findings of Siraj. The vehicle prices were inflated compared to market rates, especially against Toyota Ghana. They go on to state that Sajel and Telenor had no traceable offices or valid addresses. The entire contract was tainted with fraud, and that's according to Siraj, and corruption, and the GRA head bears responsibility. All 3 companies were not tax compliant during the contract period. Now, the deal caused the financial loss, and it's stated in dollars, $826,551. But if you do the translation to cedis, that's close to 9 million cedis. Now, these are some of their decisions based on their findings. They have imposed a 5-year ban on Amishadai. He's barred from holding any public office for the next 5 years for the breaches that occurred under his supervision. So they go on to state that the respondent and company directors are to be referred to the Attorney General for possible prosecution and recovery of the said amount that they say has been lost based on this deal. They go on to say that the PPA, which is the Public Procurement Authority Board, should ban Sajel Motors Limited and Telenor Ghana Limited from doing business with the state due to fraud and misrepresentation. Then they state that the board of PPA must strictly enforce the Public Procurement Regulations 2022 and also ensure transparency, value for money, and curb corruption. They state that PPA should update and maintain a supply database and price records to help identify fair market prices and prevent inflated contracts. Away from that, let's head now to Parliament, where NDC and NPP MPs have traded blames over which party fueled illegal mining the most. Delivering a statement on the galamsey menace on the floor of Parliament, NPP MP for Menchia North and former Deputy Lands Minister Kwesi Konedu accused the government of doing little to deal with galamsey despite its many promises while in opposition.
Mr. Speaker, galamsey is not simply an environmental issue. It is a national security threat. It fuels local conflict, deepens poverty, and exposes our youth to preventable death. In light of this, the Mahama-led government should leverage real-time surveillance through technology and satellite imagery, anchored in the visionary digitalization agenda of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to enhance monitoring of high-risk mining zones and enable swift response to emerging illegal activities. The digitalized infrastructure, once mocked and misunderstood by our opponents, now presents a strategic tool to combat the galamsey menace with precision, transparency, and accountability. Furthermore, Right Honorable Speaker, The government should revitalize and invest in community-based mining cooperatives, not only name-changing them.
The Member of Parliament for Bimbilla, Dominic Intuwu, says the government should fulfill its campaign promise to crack down on politicians involved in illegal mining.
Been destroyed because of galamsey. And what is painful is that somebody will have his cocoa farm. Minerals Commission will sit in Accra and issue permits, and they'll go and destroy the cocoa farms. The former speaker, Joe Sewusu, you can find out from him. His own farm, he cannot visit that farm, cocoa farm, because galamsey just invaded the whole place and took over. And that is what, if they can do that to a former speaker, what about the ordinary farmer in the village?
When have they done that to Joe Sewusu?
They seized his farm.
When?
They seized his farm last month. And they seized it last month. He told me that from September, October, the galamsey seized his farm. But Mr. Speaker, all I'm saying is that our land is being destroyed, the livelihood is being destroyed, and we moved with force to go and stop them. If you continue sending just 2, 3, 4, 5 soldiers onto the field, you are putting their lives at risk.
But the majority fired back, insisting government is capable of winning the fight against illegal mining. Francis Xavier Sosu is Member of Parliament for Medina.
Because I have always argued that when we fail on the fight against galamsey, we will be failing the next generation, the generation yet unborn. Because, Mr. Speaker, in accordance with the rules of intergenerational equity, every generation must use the natural resources that are available to them in a way that you can guarantee its usage in the future. Unfortunately, that's not what we are seeing today. People are hell-bent on destroying our water bodies and destroying our natural environment for their own parochial interest. Mr. Speaker, this cannot continue. The number of deaths and accidents that are associated with this illegal mining sometimes are very alarming. The numbers that we have here are those that are reported. Those that are not reported, when the pits cave in and so on and so forth, are much more. And so, Mr. Speaker, I believe that it is time for us indeed to take a decisive action in dealing with this menace. Mr. Speaker, and that is why I want to commend government for the effort made so far, even though I believe that more must be done again, Mr. Speaker, to bring this under control.
Away from Parliament, let's head now to Winneba, where there is a looming public crisis. Residents say their taps are no longer delivering potable water. For over a year, brown muddy liquid, almost raw river water, has been flowing into homes. Many families are left with no option than to use the contaminated water for their domestic purposes. Others have turned to using seawater. The Winneba Headworks simply cannot clean the illegal mining polluted water that is coming upstream. In this edition of #Dear Mahama Stop Galamsey, residents in Winneba are pleading to President John Dramani Mahama to fulfill his promise to end illegal mining.
Meet Amos Indam, a level 300 student of the University of Education, Winneba. Today should be a joyous day. He just finished his semester exams and went to church to give thanks to God. But his biggest worry is not his grades. It is how to stay clean in a town where water has become a hazard.
The issues of water has become a threat in the life of the people of Winneba, especially these very jurisdictions where I live. Some of us have to resort into going to fetch water from the sea, the salt water. And of course I did.
Amos is not asking for miracles, only colorless water, the kind he once learned about in class.
But what I was taught when I was in basic school, water is colorless. But this very time, water has become something different, especially in the morning. When you go to fetch water, it will marvel you to see the color of water being yellowish, containing some particles, such that even if you wash with a cloth that is white, you end up staining it. So much afraid, so I'm not going to wash here. I'll take it home and wash. Because if I do, that will end its lifespan. But before we started exams, I was admitted 3 times. And I think it's as a result of the water. Not that I drink, but when I bath, after finishing, I feel some scratches on my skin. And I want to believe it is because of the chemicals, mercury, that they actually used for the mining activities. Is what is given. And so it's having a greater impact. Not positive impact, but a negative effect on our health.
The Winneba headworks is suffocating. Silt choking its intake. Raw water so polluted it cannot be properly treated. And as the system gasps, an entire community finds itself drowning in uncertainty.
So according to the law, and when you ask, they say now because of the galamsey, the water works people used to use so many chemicals before it would be neat.
Winneba is full of Amoses. Among them, elders who remember when water was not a privilege.
We used to get water every day. But now for some time, so for some days now, sometimes it could take us more than 1 week, there will be no water.
President John Dramani Mahama, I don't think we are winning the fight against galamsey. And if we want to win the fight against galamsey, we must employ radical means.
Our president, Mahama, I beg, when you want to come to power, you pledge, say if you come, you will stop galamsey. But now, never get 1 year. It's almost 8 months, 9 months now. So we beg you to try to stop it, because that galamsey is giving us a big headache.
Here in Winneba, the water tells a different story. Residents say they do not want speeches, they want action, and they want it now, before an entire town is left unwashed, untreated, and unsafe. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News.
The Tema West Municipal Assembly has begun investigations into the collapse of a 3-story building at Clagon earlier today, which left a woman and her 2 children with injuries. According to authorities, a preliminary assessment points to weak structural integrity as a possible cause of the collapse. The Assembly says the outcome of the ongoing investigations will determine the next course of action. Fatal Bayaga was at the scene and filed this report.
Residents of Clagon were thrown into fear and shock after the 3-story building collapsed early Wednesday dawn. The incident quickly spread across various platforms, attracting the attention of both local residents and emergency service providers who were on the scene to bring the situation under control. The anxiety among the residents was glaring as they recounted the incident.
The foundation of the building was not constructed properly. They only excavated a small area before beginning construction.
I was shocked and surprised. I didn't know. Before I was thinking it was this building. So when we came out, everywhere was blurred. We didn't, for 10 minutes, we couldn't see anything.
We hope that incidents like this do not occur again. Many structures in this area have similar issues. We have reported these concerns to the authorities, but no action has been taken.
Director of Man-Made Disaster at the National Disaster Management Organization, Maxwell Emmanuel Nebe, stated that the building lacked structural integrity, which likely contributed to its collapse.
Assessing the place and looking at what has happened, you will see that the building had no integrity at all. You can see it from the debris on site that the constructions were not well done, and so it's obvious that such a building will collapse.
Member of Parliament for the Tema West constituency, James Enu, stated that the assemblies need adequate support to enhance monitoring efforts and prevent incidents like this in the future.
We need to reinforce our institutions, especially the assemblies, to have that capacity. Sometimes they don't have the necessary capacity, they don't have the necessary equipment to be able to undertake this integrity exercise as far as our structures are concerned. So it's important that we strengthen our institutions so that they have the capacity to undertake these exercises. Otherwise, our lives will be in danger.
Municipal Chief Executive for Tema West, Lukwek Tai Totome, announced that the Assembly would initiate an immediate investigation to determine the circumstances surrounding the incident.
So how soon are you going to commence investigation into this issue?
Immediately now.
Put together a committee?
Well, I would put together a committee, but I've asked the engineer to give me an initial briefing
as we speak now. So he's on it. He has also contacted the Engineers Association, so they are also on their way here.
This incident occurred just a week after a similar collapse at Roman Ridge, raising concerns among the public who believe that authorities must implement stricter measures to prevent such occurrences.
For Joy News, Fatau Bayaga, Klagon, Tama West Municipality.
Stay with us here on Joy News Prime. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick tip. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Tonight, pressure is mounting on the governing National Democratic Congress to launch its own internal investigations into allegations that one of its members of parliament, Isutifi North MP Ebenezer Kweku-Addo, played a role in inciting a mob that attacked officials of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat during a field operation in the Ahafo region. The call comes after a police statement named the Isutifi North MP as a key figure in the violent incident. Michael Ashali reports.
The National Democratic Congress (NDC) is under pressure to conduct its own internal probe into allegations that Isutifi North MP Ebenezer Kweku-Addo incited a mob that attacked officials of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat (NIMOS) during a field operation in the Ahafo region. This follows a police statement naming the MP as a key figure in the violent incident. Member of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal
My
Mining,
brother, your party should take a serious exception to it. Send a signal to your membership. And I want to see a statement from your national executive.
The party is the same.
Led by your chairman.
The party is the
He should
same
issue a statement and actually call for the investigations to be expedited. Put your voice inside the matter and let him them know. Beyond that, you will take action on the guy.
Mr. Hosi is further calling on President John Mahama to ensure transparency.
He has saved that office by his act. This is a form of leadership we've always been looking for. And I hope that this will not just be one flash in the pan, but this will actually be the pan itself. JM, I salute you. Today they make me happy, but this is just the beginning. Just don't do it like comedy. There's more to do.
Deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission and spokesperson for NIMOS, Elikem Kotoko, confirmed that the MP brought some men to the police station on the day of the incident.
Lizardo who led the mob?
What is this? Well, away from that, 5 Chinese-owned warehouses at Amya and Kwanta in the Ashanti region have been shut down for stocking and fabricating of chamfang machines and other illegal mining equipment. The operation, spearheaded by the Environmental Protection Authority, comes after a declaration on the ban of the chamfang machines and their fabrication. Hundreds of such equipment were found in their warehouses, which were supposed to be used for storage of spare parts. CEO of EPA, Professor Nana Ama Brown Kluche, says the operations will be replicated in other regions affected by illegal mining. Well, join us now on Zoom with more on this is Nana Ojima for more. Nana, you've been on the grounds the whole day. Tell us what areas she visited.
So today's operation was just the Amiens Kwanta enclave. So we did about a kilometer stretch at Amiens Kwanta, and by the close of today's operations, 19 warehouses stocking these champagne engines and other accessories were shut down by the EPA. So today, basically, the EPA concentrated their activities at Amiens Kwanta, where we have a lot of these champagne machine operations warehouses based. This Amiens Kwanta is when it comes to illegal mining activities, this area is very crucial because it links some of the major mining areas within the Ashanti region. If you want to go to Manson, where we have a lot of these illegal mining activities concentrated, you have to go through the Amiens Kwanta area. Also, it leads to Obuasi, Bekwai, and other areas. All these areas are mining areas. So for this reason, a lot of the people who trade in these Shanghai equipment and other equipment that aid illegal mining activities have concentrated their market in these areas. For that reason, the EPA decided to focus their attention today within that area. And by the end of the day, as I said earlier, 19 of these warehouses had been shut down. And there was information that there are still some of these areas that the EPA couldn't reach. But according to the EPA, the operations haven't ended. They will leave a team behind who will go through these areas and try to shut down some of these areas which are still operating. At a point, some of these warehouses were denying the EP officials access, entry into these areas. The Chinese who operated these warehouses, they locked themselves within the warehouses. But the EPA officials, they came in prepared. They had their clubs and other tools, and they used these tools to force the gates of these warehouses open, get access in there, and find these Chinese nationals and their staff within these areas. And they went about their businesses, picking exhibits and shutting down some of these areas. So today, that is what the EPA has been doing in the Ashanti region. The operations, from my observation, have been largely successful.
Thank you so much, Nana Yaujima. Now, away from that, President Mahama has expressed optimism that Ghana will, in the next 2 years, have the best roads in West Africa as a result of the Big Push initiative. Speaking at a sword-cutting ceremony for the upgrading and rehabilitation of 195-kilometer Wenchi-Boli-Sola Road under the program, the president lamented that despite over 2,000 vehicles using the road daily, it had been allowed to deteriorate, extending travel time between Wenchi and Sola to as long as 8 hours. Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Awewa reports.
The president has already cut sod for the Big Push road projects in the Greater Accra, Western and Volta regions. Speaking at a sword-cutting ceremony in the Savannah region, he said that upon completion, travel time from Wenchi to Wa will be reduced by more than 50%. He also directed contractors working on the project to prioritize the use of local labor. The president expressed optimism that Ghana will have West Africa's best roads within 2 years under the Big Push initiative.
And I wish to repeat my apology and regrets to the people of Ghana that with the start of Big Push, the whole of Ghana is going to be a construction site for the next 2 years. Wherever in this country you go, roads will be being constructed. And so I ask Ghanaians to be patient with us and to accept the inconvenience, because 24 months after the launch of the Big Push, you will have the best roads in West Africa. For the past few years, this strategic artery has been allowed to deteriorate. Potholes, failed pavements, and broken drains have made travel difficult and hazardous. The vehicle operating cost on this road has risen by nearly 40%. And travel time just between Wenchi to Sola and Wa can take up to 8 hours.
The president earlier was at the commissioning of the Damongo prison camp constructed by the Church of Pentecost, where he said the Ghana Prison Service is being supported to undertake large-scale farming, including poultry and vegetable production. He says as part of comprehensive prison reforms, his administration is working to complete the 800 inmate capacity remand prison at Nsawam.
In agriculture, the prison service is being supported to engage in large-scale farming, including poultry and vegetable production. The government is providing fertilizer and mechanized equipment to improve productivity over the next 3 years. And so the prison service is going to receive agricultural tractors and implements so that they can activate their prison camps.
Away from that, the Public Accounts Committee has referred management of the University of Education Winneba to the Attorney General for prosecution over the payment of 28 million Ghana cedis as honorarium. The directive follows findings during the committee's assessment of the 2024 financial statement of the university managements, where it discovered that University of Education Winneba spent the amount out of their budget allocation with no justification. 1 year after a committee set up to investigate the matter recommended that the money should be retrieved and perpetrators punished, not even a cedi has been collected. Listen to what transpired between the Vice-Chancellor, Stephen Jobson, and the Finance Officer, Senyor Akoli, as well as members of the committee.
The management and the council set up this disciplinary board to investigate it, and subsequently disciplinary measures were meted out to them. Council also directed that those who were involved should refund the money. Management did that, reminded us several times. They were not responding to it. So the matter was referred to Yoko to support us to recover those amounts.
Possible. I'm trying to reconcile really what the motive of your investigation was. Was it just to punish those who were involved or to retrieve the amounts involved for the university?
And I would check both. To punish them and also retrieve the money.
But Prof, you haven't retrieved anything.
Yes.
Why?
It is like you write to or you approach a debtor to pay you what owns you, and the person refusing to. And that's the reason why we need to bring in Yoko to support us to retrieve the money.
The committee was not able to identify any specific activity or service provided for which you only see a memo, and that was it. That was the committee's finding.
They just wrote a memo to make payments over a period of time to the tune of 28 million without any activities backing the payment of the 28 million Ghana cedis.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Then the auditors are right, and Chairman, this will be your call for this one.
I think Attorney General will be very, very happy to help you sort through this. So we'll recommend that we add it to the list of those who will be prosecuted by the Attorney General.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Round. Now, let's tell you about the National Sciences and Maths Quiz, because as the NSMQ grand finale draws near, the contest's brightest minds are sifting through focus from formulas to the future, revealing the social causes they care about the most. Well, in the preliminary final conversation, contestants from Infansipim School, St. Augustine's College and Opokuwari School identified illegal mining and its devastating toll on the environment as one of the issues demanding urgent national attention. Collins Frimpong reports.
Infansipim School, St. Augustine's College and Opokuwari School are set to battle for glory in the 2025 National Science and Maths Quiz Grand Final. But beyond the equations and experiments, these young minds are thinking about a much bigger contest, the fight for a better Ghana. For Infansipim's Benjamin Kojobuachi Enim, the fight begins with the country's scars of illegal mining, a menace that has taken lives, poisoned rivers, and stripped thousands of hectares of land bare.
Yeah,
around what's happening around us a lot quite often is how often and how rampant galamsey has become, and then like it's really not nice because there are a lot of people that would be coming after us. The future generations also need to benefit from the nature that's around us, and then it's all being destroyed right now. So if I was to have the opportunity or to be given the platform, probably set up some kind of campaign against it, and then try and make sure that the maximum possible efforts to curb it are put in place so that the environment can be preserved and its continuity can be assured.
At St. Augustine's College, Nana Beyin Boafo is driven by another battle, the struggle for mental well-being. With more than 2.3 million Ghanaians living with mental illness, according to the WHO, he hopes to break the silence and inspire conversations about care and compassion. While Opokuwari's David Opoku looks toward a cleaner and healthier Ghana.
I think it will be about mental health of people, as mental issues. I think mental health is one of the most underrated issues of all time, because people think we can't see like it on our body, we can't see any mental issue on our body, so it doesn't really matter. And I think a lot of people are going through a lot, but then they just can't bring it out. So if I had a chance, I would want to help people with mental issues, not necessarily going mad, but then maybe being depressed or too anxious or even nervous before certain activities.
I would like to work on cleanliness. Like I'll do campaign for people to follow me and then keep Ghana clean. Cleanliness, since they say cleanliness is next to godliness.
The 2025 NSMQ final is scheduled for Thursday.
Well, you're still watching Joe News Primary. Back with Showbiz. Please stay with us.